since Salmond stood down as SNP leader shortly after the vote, anointing Sturgeon his successor. Things have not gone well for a man grown used to being in the spotlight. In 2017, he lost his Westminster seat to the Scottish Conservatives, leaving him without a constituency to represent for the first time since 1987. Following a failed attempt to take over the Scotsman newspaper, he was reduced to fronting a small theatre show at the Edinburgh Fringe. He later accepted a TV presenting job with Russia Today, a propaganda mouthpiece for Vladimir Putin, whose other UK celebrity politician was George Galloway. Following a slew of criticism, including from within the SNP, Salmond pointedly said that if the BBC had offered him in his own TV show he might have accepted. The episode was significant for another reason. It was the first time Sturgeon publicly criticised her former boss, saying she would have advised against it. Before any charges were brought against Salmond, the pair were already at loggerheads after she approved a Scottish Government internal inquiry into allegations of sexual misconduct by him against staff. The inquiry was botched from the start. A human resources officer spoke to two complainants before it had begun, tainting the process. And, after seeking and winning a judicial review, Salmond was awarded £512,250 to cover his legal costs. Sturgeon admitted meeting and talking to Salmond about the case 5 times, including at private meetings at her home, set up by her chief of staff, Liz Lloyd. What appears to have wrecked their relationship beyond repair was a decision by Leslie Evans, Permanent Secretary of the Scottish Government, to send the results of its internal inquiry to Police Scotland, triggering the criminal investigation. Before the start of the trial, Salmond's QC, Gordon Jackson, formerly a Labour MSP, suggested the government had ended up with a great deal of egg on their faces. While Salmond had been publicly vindicated by the judicial review, suggesting a political conspiracy, he told the court, "The Scottish Government and people working in the Scottish Government turned their attention very directly at the criminal process and with a clear motivation to influence that process in order to discredit the former First Minister." At a pre-trial hearing, Jackson referred to a text sent by Evans which said, "We may have lost the battle, but we will win the war," wondering aloud what war she might be referring to. He also pointed out that the Scottish Government process had been so flawed. Police Scotland's Chief Constable, Ian Livingston, refused to use it as a starting point for the criminal investigation. Jackson said a concerted effort had been made by people in government to influence the process, and he referred to the close involvement of Sturgeon's office, although he did not mean to suggest the FM has done anything wrong. However, the presiding judge, Lady Dorian, dismissed this argument, ruling that using the judicial review as a form of defense would be wholly irrelevant during the trial and that the shortcomings of the government inquiry didn't necessarily make the allegations against Salmond untrue. Then there was the substance of the evidence against the former First Minister, which some observers felt was weak and insubstantial. Despite the high number of complaints from 10 different women, Salmond's defense pointed out that police had interviewed more than 300 people in connection with the case. One charge, alleging Salmond removed a woman's shoe, stroked her foot and attempted to kiss it, was dropped. Others referred to him touching a woman's knee over her clothing and asking a woman to reenact a Christmas card scene of 2 people kissing under mistletoe. In his defense, Salmond insisted there was nothing sexual in his behavior, that he and the complainants were happy and egging each other on with banter and sexual innuendo, and that it was in the nature of the office culture. In response to some of the more serious allegations, The politician insisted the women concerned had consented. Summing up at the close of the trial, Jackson said his client had not always behaved well and could have been a better man on occasions, but insisted he'd never sexually assaulted anyone. Standing outside the court following his acquittal, Salmond referred to certain evidence I would like to have seen led in this trial, but for a variety of reasons we weren't able to do so. If you like this video, please hit like and subscribe to Tom Snout. Have a nice day.